Picture that you just cleared the campaign on your League Start character. You're at T1 maps with 0 divs in your stash and little to no rarity on your gear. When do you start farming for currency? How do you first start when you have no currency to invest? This character I'm on is my League starter in the Second Wind Private League. I started late, and by then the market had inflated with me trying to play catch up. However, I have nearly 300 div, and I've spent over 100 div to scale this character all before level 95 without selling any items or crafting. I haven't even found my first citadel, and my Val Tower looks like trash. So how did I do this? In this guide, I will walk you through my exact approach to Atlas farming upon clearing the campaign. This approach involves a stepping stone farming strategy that scales as you level and scale your character. This guide is aimed at new players and specific to farming for currency. If you need help scaling your character, I have a guide on that as well, linked at the top of the screen. Alright guys, so the main idea behind this whole strategy is to keep exploring your overworld. We are letting the game sort of dictate the fact that we're supposed to go explore, open up all of these areas, and we're just going to pay attention to a few things and make sure that we're doing things along the way to set us up for success down the road. But at the same time, we're taking advantage of what we get along the way. And there are some extremely profitable maps that you can run while you're leveling. You don't need to be doing T15s all juiced up with rarity and etc. You can do these at T6 maps and still have a really good chance at getting some really expensive loot that you can currency exchange right away for your seed money to invest in your character and continue scaling into the end game. When you first get to maps, you're going to see your quests and it's going to point you towards the corruption, and you're going to be clearing out these Nexus maps. Corrupted Nexus, and this will give you cleansed maps right here. Many of you know by now these are the most profitable maps you can run, and we're primarily going to be saving all of these cleansed maps. Matter of fact, you're going to want to pay attention to which maps you're pathing through in order to cleanse a Nexus. You don't want to end up running a lot of these on your way to the Nexus. So one map that you're going to be paying attention to as you cleanse is any map that has a mirrored fury. This is a cleansed map. You'll only see that after you clear the Nexus, and you may not see it in every group. As a matter of fact, you probably won't. It's a RNG aspect, whether or not you get a map with the mirrored fury. But that mini boss has a 100% chance to drop fracturing orbs. The next thing you're going to be paying attention to are these anomaly maps. When you come across these as you're expanding your world and exploring and clearing the Nexus, you want to run these feeder maps that will unlock this anomaly. And eventually, once you hit even T6 maps, you can run these anomalies, and these bosses have a chance to drop the rarest and most pricey, most powerful lineage support gems in the game, and a lot of them are extremely expensive. If you drop one of those early in your mapping experience, end game experience, you're going to be very happy. The chance to drop those lineage support gems is static. It doesn't change based on your rarity. Same thing with the Mirrored Fury and the Fracturing Orb. That's why we're targeting these maps as we level. So starting at T6 and beyond, you can run any of these anomaly maps that you cleared. You kill the deadly map boss, and you get about a 5% chance to get a really nice drop. Here's another one, Temporal Sandstorm. This is a really good one. We'll look at that later. Eye of the Storm is really good as well. And then I'd say the Mansion is the next best. So POE2 database has the cheat sheet on which lineage support gems drop from which bosses. And you can see Temporal Sandstorm is big due to Garakun's Resolve. And then Eye of the Storm drops Rakiata's Flow. And Mansion in the Mist drops Rigwald's Ferocity. And going back to POE2 Scout, we can see that those three are all up here and very pricey. So those are the items to chase. All right, so that's like the core aim here while we're scaling and leveling. But while we're doing that, we're going to want to take advantage of the maps that we're running. So how are we tabbing and what's the strategy there? So basically, my strategy for early from T1 on mapping is to just slam an Abyss tab. That's really as simple as it gets. Make sure that Abyss is in your maps. It is super strong. You don't have to worry about juicing it in the beginning when you really shouldn't be focused on juicing your maps. You should be focused on scaling your character and running higher level maps, getting your tier waystones up and up. And usually you'll even be running just one tab at that point. Get yourself any Abyss tab and slam it. Simple as that. The reason being, Abyss currency, you can get pretty dang lucky along your way if you're running Abyss map in, map out. Like every single map, you're running Abyss. Eventually, you're going to get pretty lucky and you're going to get a bunch of currency that you can use to craft your own gear. Overall, win-win. Eventually, once you've scaled your character and you're actually maybe even targeting those cleansed maps, these are the sorts of waystones that I'd be targeting. Essentially, I'd move into the Omen of Light farming strategy. I also add in Asmary Spirits. I really enjoy those. They spice up a map for sure, even though they can be a pain in the ass sometimes. But overall, pretty fun. Abyss and Asmary Spirits go well together. Abyss and Rogue Exiles, everyone knows they go well together. Essences play well with Abyss. So Abyss has a lot of synergies overall. Just a really fun mechanic. So this modifier here, monsters in map have increased difficulty and reward. This is extremely dangerous but fun and profitable. So once you're at a level where you can run this, I highly recommend as part of your strategy. So this mod where your abyssal monsters have increased chance to have abyssal modifiers, that plays into the Omen of Light farm where you're trying to force Amannamu's Void. That's the modifier where there's a tornado looking thing, and if you kite the monster out of that and kill it while it's not standing in the void, you have a higher chance of getting that Omen of Light and other good loot, like the Omen of Echoes. And then this one additional rare monster spawn from Abyss is another way to try to force more chances at Omen of Light. That's the big ticket drop that you're chasing. However, you can see on all these, I'm doing increased effectiveness and increased rarity. I really do like that combination in general for just about anything I'm doing that requires rarity chance drops on the floor. And lastly, if you have a juicy map that you want to run, you want to spice things up, you can, of course, force the overrun in the Abyssal. So here's the pathing I take for the Abyss farm. There's an option here to go for Rogue Exiles if you're bringing that into your farm. So you can swap Stir of the Swarm out for Shadow of Undeath if you're using Rogue Exiles. I like to get a chance to overrun the maps nearby. You're bringing in more chance for Abyssal modifiers here with Unholy Influence. And then here we're choosing the right node for increased effectiveness. Again, I love effectiveness. It increases your drops dramatically. So again, this is the end state that I'm showing you where we're talking more about the early mapping experience. I like to pick up Stir of the Swarm. Again, with this strategy, we're setting ourselves up for the future once we've scaled our character. And in this case, we're going to get a chance to overrun maps. Bookmark those. Make sure you're bookmarking your Mirrored Furies and the Anomaly maps as well. The goal is to just build out your overworld with plenty of ripe opportunities for farming as we complete the quests and scale our character. For the Atlas passive tree, I will link a mobalytics with different variations based on all of these strategies. One for leveling, one for Abyss, and one for Ritual. So here I'm in my Abyss Asmary Spirit variation, buffing the effectiveness of tablets and waystones, pretty standard. That'll be linked for you to follow along if you need. All right, so this Abyss strategy really does require rarity, especially if you're going for Omen of Light. You are going to need 100 plus rarity on your character. And honestly, I felt like this strategy needed 150%, which is the soft cap for rarity on your character. For your waystone for Abyss, again, when you're leveling, it'll be just whatever blue waystone you're running. It doesn't really matter. You just keep slamming maps and exploring. It's more about exploring and opening things up and then getting the chance at loot. Once you're at T15, 6 mod maps, use the chaotic rarity omen here. Just make sure you've got 6 mods on your map, and then go ahead and you slam, and you've got a bunch of item rarity. Easy as that. Sometimes you've scaled a character and you're at T15 6 mods, you're feeling pretty powerful, but you've got like no rarity on your gear. So that's gonna hinder your abyss farming and other farming that requires rarity. And in that case, ritual becomes a very strong option to bridge the gap between that state and a state where you're just as powerful or more powerful, but you have 100+ rarity on your character. The idea behind ritual, the way to be efficient at this, is getting many rerolls, as many rerolls as you can every single map. So you're re-rolling that screen at the tribute window, and you can add re-rolls with different tablets. You can get more tribute with pack size and magic monsters in order to re-roll. And then things like increasing your chance to see omens in the window is important. You're just chasing those expensive omens. You can see today in Trade League where we stand with some of these omens. It's pretty crazy. So for the ritual strategy, getting a re-roll on your favors on one of your rare tablets is key, because then your freedom of faith will double that and you'll end up with 6 re-rolls. You get the other addition here from Tempting Offers. Then I go for Ominous Portents for more chance at omens. Always get 4 ritual altars, and then Pack of Wildwood Monsters. Key thing to note here is that with the tablet setup that we have, we're unable to irradiate and still benefit from the ritual modifiers. So this organized forces node is extremely important for the ritual strategy, because it will allow you to run level 80 maps whenever you have a powerful map boss. A lot of the most expensive omens will not appear in the window unless you're in a level 80 map. However, Omen of Whittling, which is an expensive chase omen, will show up in a level 79 map, so that's the target otherwise. For the Waystone on Ritual, much like with Abyss, we're using an omen, but it's chaotic monsters, so we're increasing magic monsters. Make sure you're at 6 mods. And there you go. There's a Waystone for Ritual. The last tablet that I want to talk about here is Visions of Paradise. This is what we are using for Mirrored Fury and Anomaly maps. Nothing else really matters for tablets or Waystones. I run Waystones that are easier with more revives, but this is going to give you 2 shots at the lineage support gem, and it's going to give you a guaranteed 2 fracturing orbs. So I would not run those maps until you have access to Visions of Paradise to maximize your efforts. So I've used this strategy on 2 league start characters this league, and I avoided Temple because I didn't like it, and I did fine. Very comfortable scaling experience, could buy pretty much what I wanted to get into the builds that I was crafting. Now that I'm in the end game, I'm focused on the Abyssal Omen of Light side of things with Asmary Spirits mixed in, but I'm still exploring and opening up those same maps. They're still powerful and a good way to farm currency. So clearing the Nexus, a Mirrored Fury, and the deadly map bosses for the lineage support gems. Hope this guide helped. If it did, please consider liking and subscribing. Until next time, take care.